So moving on, we talk about Raw 30 this upcoming weekend. And I actually thought about this yesterday because I saw that Rhea Ripley and Bobby Lashley were in India, and it made me think about, and we talk about the dirt sheets all the time. And I think about a month ago when day one was canceled, all the dirt sheets were saying day one isn't going to happen, but be on the lookout for the next big, outside the United States show. And they were saying that in India, there was going to be a huge show between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. And they were saying about a week before Royal Rumble, they were expecting like a Super Showdown or like some sort of show that was going to take place in India that was going to be similar to the Saudi Arabia kind of shows, some sort of big time deal. And while Rhea Ripley and Bobby Lashley are in India, I don't think there is. And last I watched Raw, they weren't hyping up Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns with the championship on the line on Saturday in India. So that did not happen. They're in India and they're probably going to do some sort of goodwill, future talk about some promotion about the WWE network expanding in India or maybe a future event.
Let's not forget, WWE ain't stupid. India is a very, very populous country. So
yes, it's a big market. But the point is the dirt sheets told us that be on the lookout for like a crown jewel, like a week before the Royal Rumble. And we're a week before the Royal Rumble. And I completely... It's not happening, obviously, and to any extent. And the only reason I even thought about it, because I saw Rhea Ripley is in India. So it went from be on the lookout for Crown Jewel, Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, world titles on the line in India, 6-hour, Peacock exclusive event in front of 30, 40,000 people turned into Rhea Ripley's in India.
Yeah, that's the state of the dirt sheet business, and we've talked off air, and we've had our very interesting conversation about it.
We are getting somewhat of a pay-per-view. It does kind of suck because it would have been better if it was a few weeks earlier to kind of bridge the gap between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble without it literally being a pay-per-view style show and also the go-home show for Royal Rumble. But Raw 30 comes up this week. You got 3 championships on the line. The United States Championship. You got Becky Lynch and Bayley, not for a championship, but a steel cage match. And then the tag team match for just the Raw Tag Team Championship, which is the Judgment Day against the Usos. And, and I'm okay with it being this because of the fact that the Royal Rumble is, it's focused on the Royal Rumble. So, Royal Rumble is normally like 5-6 matches. 2 of those matches are the Royal Rumble. So, I wasn't thinking that a lot of these championships were going to be defended at the Royal Rumble anyways. Kind of similar to like War Games, how War Games took up so much of the pay-per-view that it was fine if like the Intercontinental title was on the line the night before because they didn't have any time for it at Survivor Series. They had like one title match other than that at Survivor Series. And so obviously the world title is going to be on the line. And I think we'll probably have a women's championship on the line.
It's a busy night. I mean, I'm looking here. They're doing the Bloodline Acknowledgement Ceremony, which they tease that to be, there's going to be a lot of the family there, so that's going to be interesting. What do you think? What do you think, though? Do you think there's a chance The Rock can spoil the party and get involved somehow?
I mean, that is interesting. Do they bring out The Rock here? Do they wait for the Rumble? So essentially,
it all depends on the schedule.
Essentially, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying this and put it down on paper because we've been talking since literally they've announced WrestleMania was going Hollywood years ago. So we're not even just talking like this upcoming WrestleMania. WrestleMania was supposed to be in LA 2 years ago. 2021. Yep. That was the original date. And the original date, even then when it was going to be in Hollywood, the original thing was Roman versus Rock way before this title reign ever got started. And they not just pushed, the LA day a year, they pushed it 2 years. So essentially I should have gone to SoFi Stadium. We're at a point, it's crazy to think how far time goes, how quick time moves, but we're at a point. This is no lie. And if you follow WWE's logic here, and they've done this before in some of their stereotypes, we're at a point where WWE could have already acknowledged and announced that the next WrestleMania, the one that's going to be in Philadelphia, could be going to SoFi Stadium as a return, meaning because they've already been there. We saw that with New Orleans. They were there for WrestleMania 30. They were there for WrestleMania 34. So it's crazy to think that this original logo that they've made, WrestleMania Hollywood, the logo they made when they went to SoFi Stadium while it was still under construction and announced they were going to be one of the first events at SoFi Stadium, it's been postponed so long that they could actually be at a point where they're returning for we've already been there, but now we're coming back.
And here's the other thing too. not only they were teasing that they would be one of the first shows to be at SoFi. SoFi's pretty broken in at this point. They've had a lot of shows there, a lot of games.
Yeah, they've had a lot. That's what I'm saying. That's how far this has been postponed.
Crazy.
It's been postponed to like this. They could be returning now, and it wouldn't seem weird. You know what I mean? Because when they went to the Superdome, they returned 4 years later, and essentially next year will be like 3 years since they were supposed to be at SoFi. 4 years since they made the announcement they were going to SoFi. It'll be 4 years since they made the announcement at WrestleMania, since they essentially revealed this logo. That's how old this logo is going to be next year.
Let me ask you this, though. What are your thoughts on this WrestleMania 30 coming up? I mean, we know the names that are...
Raw 30.
Yeah, Raw 30.
Yes. So, and I wanted to... I got off a tangent there for a second, but the point of that, I wanted to just solidify, and my point here is in the next week, The Rock is either going to show up, and we're having Rock and Roman, or we are not.
That's a fact. The next, week and a half?
Monday or Saturday. If he's not here by next Saturday, then that's it. And I'm putting that, I'm putting that in record.
Sailed, yes.
Who knows? It might happen. But I'm saying my personal opinion, what I'm going on record and saying that what I believe is going to happen, if he doesn't show up on Monday or he doesn't show up on Saturday, then that's it. Then that ship has sailed.
And you know what that ship sailed to? It sails to Seth freaking Rollins. I think,
and that's been a ship that we've been talking about for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because again, to go with the whole how long this WrestleMania has been in production, is that how long the Rock-Roman matchup has been talked about happening at SoFi and being saved for SoFi. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's the lack of Rock's interest. I just think it depends on his schedule, because that dude's got so many darn projects going on. So it's if he can make it work, he's going to try to swing it. But I just, I'm a little skeptical that it's going to happen. I think the cooler surprise, because people are banking on him showing up at Royal Rumble. Why not throw a curveball and just because they're making Raw 30 such a big deal? Why not just have him show up at the ceremony and just say, and be like, nah, I'm the real tribal chief kind of thing, and like just cut.
Do you think it would do something where he shows up to the ceremony as like a goodwill, similar to what we're seeing with Sami Zayn right now, like on the side of the bloodline, and then at Royal Rumble?
No, I could see it. I could see him like it could be the quickest turn ever, where he's like, "Oh, hey, good to see you," but all that stuff, and then like you get a look from The Rock, and like maybe Roman doesn't see it, but the crowd sees it. The wheels are turning here, and then he hits him with the Rock bottom
personally,
or something.
I mean, as somebody who loved John Cena Rock 1 and the year-long build, even though obviously they weren't on TV every single week, that's fine. But for someone who loved that like long-term storytelling, I really wish that if this does happen, I'll take it, sure. But I really wish it could have started earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could have built this
like
earlier,
if this does end up happening, I'm going to be a little disappointed that we didn't just get The Rock showing up earlier.
Yeah, but the tough thing is with The Rock, again, it's his schedule. It's not the lack of interest.
But with Rock
been.
and John Cena before, this wasn't, he didn't sign full time before. He showed up on Raw, signed the contract for the next match, and then disappeared. Like, I'm not saying that this should have like started like a long term. Rock could have just showed up at Survivor Series and did what you're talking about, that, and then have been gone since. You know what I mean? He can work. He doesn't have to work. That's good. I just wish the seeds were planted where we knew Rock was invested. Rock showed up on a random Monday Night Raw 6 months ago, even at SummerSlam.
The Rock rarely has days off. Let's be honest. And I just, I just don't know if the stars are going to align where he has a day or two where he can say, "Hey, I can come in and help out and get ready for WrestleMania." Like he not only does he have to open his calendar up for either like Rumble or Raw 30, he also has to be open to one of the days at WrestleMania. Like it's not just a one-off situation; it's actually 2 appearances because he's got to build it somehow, and then they got to pay it off at WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, I know there's got to be a few appearances. Obviously, with the John Cena situation, he showed up at WrestleMania 27. Then obviously the night after WrestleMania, disappeared all the way up until about Survivor Series when he teamed up with John Cena in that tag team match, and then I think he disappeared for about like another month, and then started showing up right around closer to WrestleMania time. But Raw is 30. Obviously everyone is talking about the logo. Raw is XXX. And, I guess my thing is it's value in which you give it value. Like somebody recently said, WrestleMania XXX, they regret doing that. And I say, to be honest with you, looking back on it, thinking about WrestleMania 30, I don't know anybody who thinks about it. The Super Bowl did the same thing when it was 30. It was XXX. And I understand where you can take it.
I'm very familiar. That's the Super Bowl the Cowboys won. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that you can take it there, but at the same time, now that WrestleMania 30 is in the books and we talk back about WrestleMania 30, no one ever talks about that being a blunder. No one talks about that being. And I promise you, when I watched WrestleMania 30, it never was like a thought in my head. They never played on it. They never innuendoed it. It was just never. And I feel like with this too, it is difficult because obviously Monday Night Raw is called Raw, and obviously the Attitude Era obviously indicates obviously all the salaciousness that involves,
a little risque,
and there was a promo for Raw is 30 that just had a VHS tape going in a VCR that said Raw XXX. I get it. But if you search WrestleMania XXX, you're not getting any double entendres. You're just getting WrestleMania. If you search Super Bowl XXX, you're just getting that. Raw is 30. I just searched it right now. The first thing that came up was Monday Night Raw.
It's not going to be like Raw XXX presents One Night in Sunny. You know what I mean?
Something it's not as salacious. Yeah. It's as salacious as you make it. So if WWE doesn't acknowledge those internet wrestling community fans who make that salacious, then it won't be salacious.
Well, the internet wrestling community can be so fickle. Like, just shut up and enjoy the show.
So Raw is 30. On Monday night, it's crazy to believe, it's been going on for 30 years. I'm looking forward to it. I guess one thing I'm really hoping, and we saw this with SmackDown that was a couple years ago or maybe a year ago that was kind of nonsense with the throwback SmackDown. I'm hoping we get a throwback set, a throwback stage. I don't want it to just be the graphic on the traditional set. I don't want this to be the CGI fist from SmackDown. I want this to be the actual brick and mortar.
Do you want to hear like the original like the Attitude Era, like the heavy rock with remember how they were like in a warehouse for the intro, have something like that.
And one thing I guess I have with all of this, and when they did throwback SmackDown or any of this stuff, is they kind of mix everything together, and I don't really care for that. We're here where the logo is Raw is XXX, right? So that's obviously for Raw is War Days, right?
Yes.
So have it be the Raw is War set. Don't have it be Raw is War, themed, but then have the old RAW early 90s or the Union Underground.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just thinking that Union Underground.
You're mixing. I remember Pat McAfee on the Throwback SmackDown was wearing one of those old WWF jackets. You know what I mean? I'm from the 80s. And obviously SmackDown didn't start till 99. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's we're mixing decades and generations. Pick one theme. Yeah. Be all in on the Attitude Era Raw, or be all in on the 90s Raw, throwback Raw. But don't be mixing them wearing the old early 1992 Manhattan Center jackets while doing Attitude Era stuff and graphics.
You got to stick with one and go with it.
You got to stick with one theme. You know what I mean? Yeah, you see that with throwback stuff. You don't see the Toronto Raptors wearing the 1995 tops in the 2001 shorts. You know what I mean?
They dress one. It's shorts, jersey. It's all one.
You got to pick one theme here. I'm looking forward to it's obviously a Raw. I'm looking forward to for the first time in a long time. I still feel like there's a lot of matches to be named for Royal Rumble. Obviously, we have the 2 Royal Rumbles, the championship match, and then we have the pitch black match. But I feel like there's still some more matches to be named for, and that'll obviously include my interest here for Raw is 30 this upcoming week from Philadelphia. I think it's a good place to have Raw is 30. I feel like maybe New York City might have been a little bit better.
Philly's a good spot for that.
Philly's not bad. But yeah, it should be a good show. I'm looking forward.
Are you making an appointment TV?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm making an appointment TV. Yep. I don't normally for Monday Night Raw, but
I don't either.
I think this is appointment TV on too, obviously, because it's a go home episode for the Royal Rumble as well. Yep. So it's a perfect mix. I think more than the matches, I'm interested in the Bloodline segment. They teased the Bloodline segment. They don't owe us anything. Remember, wrestling community, they don't owe us The Rock. You get your eyeballs on it and you get intrigued, and The Rock doesn't show up. They don't owe you The Rock. If The Rock shows up, that's actually a treat. That's a surprise. That's cool to see.
If it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal.
It's kind of like the whole Cody Rhodes thing. People are going on and on about that right now. We'll talk about Cody Rhodes being revealed for the Rumble next week when we talk all Royal Rumble. But United States title, Austin Theory, do you see him retaining it at Raw?
I do. I think Austin Theory keeps the title at least. I think he'll keep the title until WrestleMania.
Usos, you think they're getting split up with one of their belts? Only the Raw belt is on the line here.
Yes.
You think they're losing one of these belts?
I do.
All right. And then Becky Lynch and Bayley, no title on the line, but inside a steel cage. What do you see happening there?
I think big time Bex is going to win the match.